This guy says, what's the bigger enemy, simps or feminism? And I look at that as the enemy is you, man. If you're looking for enemies to try to justify why you're not doing well in the world, you're just laying blame. You're playing the victim card. Fuck the victim card. Throw it in the garbage. Take ownership. Yeah, okay, feminism sucks. Yeah, simps suck. White knights suck. All that stuff blows, but who cares? Disconnect from it. It doesn't matter, who's the worst enemy, or let's, put them on a scale of who's the worst enemy. I don't know if any of you guys want to top up on that one.
No, 100%. You hit the nail on the head. I mean, Pat was talking about extreme ownership. I say the same. You've got to take responsibility, but you don't just read the damn books. You can make yourself very well read by reading 100 books. If you don't apply any of that shit to your life, nothing is going to change. You're just a well-read man. You've done nothing. There are guys who are jacked and, they have what everybody thinks they need to have. And then they just can't even speak to women because they have no confidence. There are guys saying, oh, well, feminism. Oh, well, gender traders, white knights, blah. What does any of that matter? You own you do your thing. You make it work for you. You were just talking about the guy who had the bone disease, and he's 3 feet tall and he's got a smoking hot wife, so every time they say, well, you've got to do this. Well, this guy isn't doing that. He worked on himself. He said, fuck, all the excuses. I'm going to go right after it. I'm going to make my life the most I can. And maybe I can only work my way up to getting 7s, but hell yeah, I did the work. I'm getting my 7s. The 9s and 10s, it's like if you give the guy $1 million.
I'd actually really like to get Sean Stevenson on one of these live broadcasts, man. He'd be great because
that'd be awesome.
I mean, he's a good optic.
Simps and feminists are the same, basically different sides of the same coin. I mean, why do simps exist? Because they're pandering to the feminine. Why do white knights exist? Because they're pandering to the feminine. Well, what's the message that they're getting? Well, they're getting this feminist message. They're getting they're prioritizing women above all else. So what's a bigger enemy? I don't really I agree with you guys. I don't think that either one should be considered sort of an enemy, because then what you're doing is you're polarizing yourself from the opposite sex. I hate to use this, but like, not all women are like that. Okay. All women can be like that because all women are hypergamous. All women, have a certain psyche, have a certain nature, have a certain innate, mental firmware. But if you make women the enemy, and I see a lot of guys doing it, if you make a woman the enemy, then you're playing in an adversarial mindset rather than a complementary mindset.
Yeah, exactly.
That women should be a complement to a man's life. The sexes were not meant to be adversarial. They were meant to be complementary to each other. Now, what screws that and what throws that off? Yes, feminism. What throws that off? Feminine primacy, feminine primary social order. A lot of this shit that we see in the world today that are, is really just direct results of this idea that we are going to prioritize, the feminine above all else. So, if you're going to say who's the enemy and who's not the enemy, try looking for who's on your side. Who's going to be a complement to your life rather than who's the enemy. We know who the enemy is. That's easy. You can see that every day that you're on Twitter or wherever you're at, or you're just dealing with people and interacting on the, in real life. But who's on your side? Who's going to be a compliment to you?
Right. Yeah. And there was an interesting comment posted there. He says, we are asking men to rebuild themselves from the ground up for women that are in just about every other way lesser chicks. And there's a lot of truth to that. I mean, there's a lot of very high drama, low virtue women out there that suck, that aren't worth your time. But you know what? You're the gatekeeper to your time. You're the gatekeeper to what you do with your time. You're the gatekeeper with, where you're going to go in life and what excellence you choose to chase. So if there's shitty women out there, you obviously don't pursue anything on a long-term basis. They're just a plate to spin, if anything at all.
At the same time, on that note, we've said it about 10 times in this conversation. We are not asking men to build themselves up for these lower value women that are out there.
Right.
That's not what we're doing. We're trying to, and it's one of the reasons all of us are writing and speaking the way we do. I call it throwing ropes. We're resources trying to catch the men so that when another Anthony Bourdain comes up, they don't feel like they have to go to that extreme end and end it. They know that there are other men out there that are explaining this. There are other men who may understand the situation. There are other men who are suffering, and maybe, just maybe, that's enough to pull them back. We're writing because we're trying to help men. We're trying to keep them from taking that, the final solution.
Yeah. I mean, the other thing about this is asking them to build themselves from the ground up. What this really is, it comes back to what I call the crisis of motive. Why are you doing what you're doing? Why am I doing this right now with you guys? Is it because I want to build my ego up and I want to build my brand up, or I want to do this? Or is it because I really care about like the message that I'm putting out to guys? Do I want to help guys? Do I want to save guys' lives? Why are you going to the gym? Is it because you really want to feel better about yourself and you want to have, vigorous health and you want to be able to lift heavy objects? Or is it because you look good and you want to, and women find that attractive and they want to get with you? You know what? I don't have a problem with either of those. It's okay to build yourself up because you want to look good for a woman. And it's also, it helps you. I mean, there's a lot of good things that come from your own self-improvement. So if you're going to do it for a woman, then then this guy's 100% right. Why would we want to rebuild ourselves? Because I'll tell you this: there are not any groups, there's no red women groups that are getting together and saying, how can we be better wives for our husbands? How can we be better? How can we be better women so that men will like us better? Because that goes against that strong, independent, fempowerment narrative, where if you do anything for a man, then you are being subservient to that guy. So if you do anything that's just for the pleasure of a man, like you always hear these women say, I look good, but I'm not here for your pleasure. I didn't do this, for the pleasure of you, for the pleasure of a man. And it's just like this very, it's supposed to be this emancipating, self-reliance and everything. And yes, that's what they're teaching women. But here we are, and we're saying, how can we be better guys? That's really what the 21 convention is. How can I live a better life as a man? How this is male space. I had a lady who was a writer hit me up, and she says, are women allowed to go to the 21 convention? And I go, yeah, but it is a male space and it is a very hot kitchen. And if you go and you buy a ticket there, we're not like saying you can't come. But I'll tell you this is like, they're going to say stuff there that you are not going to agree with and that you are going to have a real tough time accepting because it's unflattering for the feminine. And yes, you can go do that. But, this is a male space. We reserve this so that guys can get together and that we can talk.
But I mean, there are women at the convention. Like we see Anthony's sister and mother there and stuff like that.
Well, women can go. But what I was saying is that here we have this group of guys that with a dedication to make guys better guys. Is that so that they can go out and get laid? Are they doing that for chicks? Are they doing that because maybe they wanted to save their own lives? Maybe because they didn't want to commit suicide? Why are they doing that? So really what it comes down to is, why are you doing something? And really that's kind of in your own head. Now, guys get really pissed off at me because I don't give them like these 12-step, ways to become a better man. I don't make these lists. What I do is I give people tools. I give them the nuts and bolts so that they can build a life on their own, and they can, because like I said, every guy is different. And so when you're thinking about things and when you're doing this introspection and you're saying, maybe I need to live in a better way, you need to do it for yourself. You need to do it because of here, not because out of here.
And Pat, you wanted to add on that?
Yeah, we were talking earlier about, the guy that's the nice guy that does nice things for a woman, not necessarily even with the expectation that it's going to be, sex in return, but just for whatever reason. You want to make her happy, whatever the motivation is. The women, this is not even necessarily even their fault. It's like programmed into them. They are not generally grateful. Sometimes you get a forced thank you out of them. But the reason they're that way is they expect you to do that. It's almost a sense of entitlement. You are expected to do those things for the woman. So if you're the guy that's expecting the, oh, thank you, you saved me, or the white knight kind of thing, it's never coming because it's not in their DNA.